The lights are off and away they go.
Extremely loose. He's managed to hold on and they get.
He missed the complete. He's crazy stuff.
Side Freitas is on the grass on the infield floor. He slides through. He tags Richard.
Hello and welcome to the Milwaukee Mile for round 6 of the 2016 Premier Racing League Coastal Safety Auditors Grand National Series. This is the Milwaukee 100 and we're going to have it all live for you here on the Global Sim Racing channel. Hi, I'm Samuel Ryman and alongside me in the booth is Michael Smith. Behind the scenes we have our director Joe Peak and our camera sets today are provided by Dougie Beard. Smithy, this may be the 6th round of the season, but this series hasn't raced in 3 weeks. As exciting as it is, the Milwaukee Mile is not the most used track on the sim, so what are these drivers going to have to watch out for as they get back behind the wheel of these cars tonight?
The Milwaukee Mile has a storied background that includes everything from horses to dirt car racing to open wheel and NASCAR racing with the trucks in the Xfinity Series. This place has even hosted football in its earliest of days. Tonight, however, we will be following the Xfinity cars around this fairly flat, mile-long course for about 100 laps, as the PRL guys look to prove who can get the most out of these cars and the fixed set provided to them. There is a lot of banking around this joint, so taking care of the tires on both entry and exit will pay dividends, especially if we see some long green flag runs. And to see just how flat this place is, and how much pedal work will come into play, let's take a ride all around this place in the GSRC Chevy Camaro with tonight's lap guide.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Global Sim Racing channel. My name is Brian Yazek and I'll be taking you for a spin around the Milwaukee Speedway. It has a very unique pit exit system, so that's where we're going to start. Get back into it right about there and onto the loud pedal, back out onto the track, put it in high gear, and here comes your lap. Milwaukee has these long, sweeping corners that feel like they go on forever and ever and ever. It's actually what Turn 3 in Pocono was modeled after. So, back onto the front straightaway, bring it right out here towards the fence, and then you're going to dive down here, hit the brakes, let the car roll a little bit off, then get back right into the gas here just a little bit, and then full throttle at about the 3/4 mark of the corner. Down the back stretch one more time. No banking to speak of here. You really have to hit your marks or else you will wash up and find that wall. You can hug the rumble strips there a little bit. Might help you corner as the run goes on. Back out to full throttle and back out towards the wall. Now, because there is no banking like I spoke of, you're not going to see guys move around a whole lot today. You're going to see them pretty much hug this paved area, the darker shade of pavement right here. So, what I'm going to talk about now is getting onto pit road. It's very, very tricky and it can sneak up on you very quickly. So as you're rolling through turns 3 and 4, you're trying to look and get yourself set up, off the gas, back onto it just a little bit, hug it, keeping it low, low, and then right here is where your pit entrance starts, down through the gears, into second, on the binders, and there's your pit road speed limit. 45 miles an hour all the way down. That was Milwaukee Speedway. I'm Brian Yazek. Enjoy the show.
So that's the track. Let's have a talk about the drivers who are going to be in this race today. They're currently only 5 rounds into a 36 race season, so there's a lot left that could change. And right now at the top of the board though, James Krahula has a 20-point lead over his closest competitor Jake Wright, who doesn't have a win yet this season. There you also see Dwight Beverly, Pierre Daigle and Tommy Ryan are up there in the points. But there's a long season left to go ahead of us, Smithy. And as you were mentioning during the lap guide, these drivers are going to have their work cut out for them tonight with that track temperature.
No, absolutely. I think that the Milwaukee Mile is going to be a nice little test. The last time we were live with these guys, we were at Irwindale's. A bit of a tricky deal there with the little bit higher banks and short track. This is a flat track, a little bit longer. Got some longer straights. It's kind of like a blown up Martinsville, if you will, which the big boys did this past weekend. And it'll be interesting to see how much that track temp does start to play a part. 105 degrees. might be a little bit slicker. And as I said, the tire temps and taking care of the tires themselves will be very important.
Qualifying has ended, practice has ended and qualifying has just begun here at the Milwaukee Mile. They have 10 minutes, but they've been told to get their laps, try and get their laps in the first 5 minutes to do 2 laps around here. Each driver has a track to himself, and here right now you see Paul Pepper in the number 29 machine working his way around the mile-long course.
Yeah, Paul Pepper, we saw him towards the sharp end during our Irwindale broadcast, and things didn't go 100% his way, but he was able to be inside that top 5, so it'll be interesting to see what happens. DJ Beverly, same story. Saw him towards the sharp end, and all these guys are trying to find a little bit extra here as they start getting a little bit towards the deeper end of the early part of the season, establish themselves as a contender, and at the end of the day, what we're starting to see in those points, consistency is what's really starting to matter right now.
Yeah, let's see what kind of time DJ Beverly puts up this time around. He currently sits third on the board with a 30.847. Is he able to go faster? He comes across the line. And it doesn't look like it's going to be an improvement. But still up there third right now. Right now a provisional pole sitter is Jake Wright, but there's still time for him to get knocked down the order. Can Billy Tungate do it? Probably not. He was only 10th fastest his first time up round.
Well, Jake Wright's going to be one of the tough ones to beat. He's been at the sharp end all year. He's been one of the guys to beat. He's got that 6.65 up on the board with Mellendorf at a 6.94 just behind him. We are watching Tungate right now. He didn't have the best of times at Irwindale. He's going to be looking to kind of turn that thing around. One person I'm going to be looking for to actually start making some things happen is Krahula, who's actually qualified back there in 5th. He was one of the fastest guys in practice. A little surprised at that 8. He must have had a mistake.
Yeah, Krahula was leading most of practice. He must have only got topped at the end of it. He's currently 5th fastest in this qualifying session. Right now we're watching Brian Yazik. He took all the racetrack. Now normally Brian is a driver we would see toward the front of the field. However, he was late joining practice session and was only 14th fastest of the 19 cars in practice. So it remains to be seen if he's able to catch on during the race today. Right now, he does jump up to 11th fastest in qualifying.
Yeah, absolutely. As you start seeing how these guys go around the course here, you're seeing a little bit of a late apex. That's going to be how you're going to be seeing most of the guys get around the joint. There are actually several ways to take this very flat, mile-long circuit. You can diamond it. You can be a little bit later. You can kind of roll into this thing. So you got some options, especially as your tires start to wear out. Here in qualifying, though, I wouldn't be surprised. A lot of these guys are charging in, trying to get as much speed on entry, letting it roll in the center, and then try to get on that gas early. So a diamond is going to be probably what we see. As you see these guys, a lot of them start out wide as they go to 3 and 4 to get a big run coming on the straightaway. Diamonding is probably what most of these guys are employing.
And it looks like drivers are finishing up their runs, but something I've just noticed about Jake Wright's time, he has only put on 1 qualifying lap. So he is currently sitting on the provisional pole, having only turned 1 lap. That might mean he might have another shot out there if anyone does beat him, but the track is very quiet right now. I think they might be done, although here we see a car joining the circuit.
Yeah, we're looking at 30-second lap times here, and we are just about 30 seconds left in this thing. So if you're going to make it happen, it's got to be stat, which Dan Murray getting around the circuit right now. He's going to try to make that happen. Currently, yeah, as far as Jake Wright goes, he may have only put down 1 lap, but in theory, that first lap should be your best. And if there's no reason else to go out there, well, stick it in the pits and let it ride.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what we're seeing. As a lot of drivers realised the first lap was going to be their best, so Dan Murray said, hey, I'll split my run up into 2 one-lap runs. Now these drivers were told to get their laps in the first 5 minutes. Murray's going to be a little bit late on that, but he's going to finish a lap up anyway. How high is he going to go? He was 4th. He crosses the line, and it doesn't look like it was an improvement.
Yeah, not a huge improvement there, but or not a huge surprise. It was not an improvement. These guys were running 8s for the most part. We saw 3rd from 11th in practice in the 30.8s. Very, very close field. You look in qualifying here, and not everybody has found that same kind of pace, but once we go racing, we'll see everything starting to tighten up. Again, fixed setups for everybody, so it is all about the driver in qualifying. Ain't nobody got a special quality setup to throw in on there.
Yeah, now Dan Murray's just turning laps. Not really entirely sure what's going on here, but qualifying is over, and it will be Jake Wright who is the winner of the Savage Spinners Pole Award. So, congratulations, Jake Wright. Who knows? He could be walking out a winner for the first time this season today and lock himself into a position to be in the chase. And we're going to get a replay here of his lap and see just what he did right around this joint, Smithy.
Yeah, absolutely. Now remember, I talked about there's a few different ways to get around the joint. Let's see how he comes in here. A little bit higher up, going into 3. Starts to bring it down. There it is, the diamond. He's coming down on that turn 4. He's going to get hard on the throttle, get off there. All the track views right up next to the wall. He's going to probably drive in here pretty deep. Look at this. Just off that apex. He's going to go with that later apex. He's not going to diamond it so much. Instead, late apex through 1 and 2. Right in on the curb for the second apex there for turn 2. Down the back straight on the outside. Comes down in here once again. Going to stay off that curb. Going to stay off that inside until he gets a little bit close to turn 4. Actually grabs a bit of curb there. I don't know if this is the fast lap or not. It couldn't have been. That must have been a bit off. But again, that's what these guys are going to be doing here. They're going to be trying to find the best way around. A lot of times it's going to be catching up off the outside and then trying to drive off the corner. See if we can't find that fast lap maybe a little bit later, but still lots of different ways to get around this place.
So we may have not entirely seen why Jake got pole, but we did get to see why he didn't end up turning a second lap with a little bit of a moment coming off of turn 4, but it doesn't matter. As we mentioned, he will be the pole winner, and starting alongside him will be Brian Mellendorf. Starting on the second row, we've got Ricky Harding and Dan Murray, who has finally pulled his car to a halt after his 8-lap qualifying run or whatever was going on there. James Kahula was second fastest in practice, but will start the race in 5th, alongside DJ Beverly, Drew Carroll and Jody Green on the 4th row, and then we have Chad Stolman and Big Joe Hassett rounding out the top 10.
After that, you got 11th place Brian Yatsik. He's going to be trying to make things happen from the pole side, from the left side on the start. Pierre Daigle's going to be P12. Billy Tungate, 13th. Tony Showens, 14th. Paul Pepper, 15th. Mark Emery, 16th. No time from Don Runkle Jr., Randy Yoakum, and Brian Hubble at the end. Be interesting to see what those guys can do if they do indeed start this race from the back of the field.
Well, the only driver not in the session right now is Brian Hubble. However, we've got another minute or so before the cars begin gridding up. That being said, you saw the top 14 cars were within a second of the pole time, and then they just drifted off a bit after that. Now, I've got to ask here, Smithy, during our little pre-race, you mentioned that this track kind of is a bigger version of Martinsville. Do you think that means we're going to see a lot of fighting for that bottom line as well?
Absolutely. Bottom line is where you want to be here. You cannot run very high up. We don't have progressive banking here at Milwaukee Mile. We don't have a high groove that really comes in too much. You can open things up a little bit and take care of the tires, especially as you come in. If you roll into the corner on entry, it's going to help out your right front. If you can get a little bit straighter coming off and be a little bit smoother on the right front or the right foot, it's going to help out your right rear tire. But at the end of the day, you want to be towards the bottom. You don't want to be too far up. You don't want to be all the way on the bottom, as you saw our albeit botched quality run there. If you hit those curbs, that's going to throw that car sideways. You might start getting a little bit bad at that point.
Now you see on the front straightaway, on the far side, the top of your screen right there, where the pit wall is, it's kind of a peculiar angle that you have to come in as the qualifying session finally wraps up here. It's in a really unique place here, Smithy. What kind of issues could that pose if we see green flag pit stops tonight?
Well, the big thing is you can't make a last-minute decision on the pit road. If you're going to come into the pits, you have to know that you're going to come in. You're going to kind of roll off in 4 here. You could get run over a little bit though, so a little bit of communication with the guys behind you, getting a hand out the window, getting on the radio, making sure everybody knows what's going on. That's going to be important, because if you try to make a last-minute decision, you could either end up in the wall, or you could be stuck in those water barrels.
And you see the field getting gridded up on the front straight here. We're about to get going for a 100 lap race. They'll do one pace lap around this 1 mile circuit, and then we will be underway. Most of the field is gridding up, so the pace car should be rolling off shortly. And I have a feeling, Smithy, we're not going to see the yellow flag fly in a whole lot tonight.
Man, I hope not, because I'll tell you what, tire wear around this place is a big deal. And when tire wear is a big thing, that means that drivers are a big thing. And that means you got to take care of your equipment, and all the way around the joint. That means we could see some big differences as the green flag run goes. I'm hoping we stay green. It's a heck of a lot more fun to watch when that happens.
And here we see the field rolling off. Hopefully we won't see them stop until they come to a rest in their pit stall, but as you were just mentioning, Smithy, they will be fighting for that bottom groove, and that could bring up some problems. And it looks like we have 18 cars on the grid. The driver, one of the 3 drivers who didn't qualify, Brian Hubble, won't be in the race. 18 cars will, not the biggest field we've ever seen, but with 14 cars within a second in qualifying, we should still be in for a great race.
Absolutely, and real quick before we do go green, I want to point out that our fuel run is going to be right around that 50 lap mark, which means if this thing does go green, fuel strategy could play a huge part.
Pace car leading them through turns 3 and 4 now. It should be pulling into the pits this time. Of course, it'll be a late turn into the pits because of where the wall is, and that means that Jake Wright will have control of the field. Pace car is off. Green flag immediately goes out in the air. Jake Wright leads them away for 100 laps here at the Milwaukee Mile.
Jake Wright doesn't even lead him away. He kills him on the start there. Great start for Wright. He is your definitive leader right now. Second place right behind him is that blue car. Right behind him is 41 of Mellendorf. Harden's right there with him. Dan Murray, James Krahula, your top 5.
Give the award for best starter to Big Joe Hassett. I think he has picked up 2 spots on the opening lap. He started in 10th and he's already up to 8th place.
Man, I'll tell you what, the restarts are going to be when you can make some big spots up. If you can get up there and you can make things happen on the starts, it's going to pay dividends later on. Once these guys start getting in single file, start settling in a groove, you're going to start seeing the left foot play a big part as they go down to the corners.
Oh, Joe lost out big there coming out of turn 2 though. He kind of got bulked behind Dan Murray. That cost him a lot of time on the exit, and Jody Green could have challenged him for that 8th position. Fortunately for Big Joe, that didn't end up happening. Meanwhile, nothing's changed up front. Jake Wright leads after 2 laps around. Brian Mellendorf did a good job at the start of the race to get downstairs and hold on to that 2nd position ahead of Ricky Harden.
Absolutely, smart runs right now, guys, making moves, making positions up, but not abusing things too hard and not making contact. Aero is not a big deal around here, but you don't want to knock the toe out or make any dumb mistakes early on.
Only side-by-side battle I see right now is from Mark Emery, was in 16th, but he just got out of a groove and may drop to the back of the field. Of course, the good thing about all this clean racing early on, and a mile track isn't the shortest racetrack in the world, we should still have quite a few cars on the lead lap, especially if they are able to keep it clean. Should have good racing throughout the race, and right now that's what we're seeing from 6th on back. Dan Murray has DJ Beverly all over the back of him.
Yeah, look, he's trying to make a move down to the inside here. We'll see how he's able to hold the outside there with the 5 car. 0-2 to the inside. Look, he's just got it. It's going to be really hard to hold the outside around here. The corners are so long that you're almost better off dropping in just about every time. The number 5 there of Murray just has to give it up.
And right at the same time, Jody Green finally got back by Joe Hassett for 8th position behind them. And now Hassett is dropping back a little bit because Chad Stolman in 10th place, not too far behind him.
Yeah, these guys are for the most part going to be just trying to fall into a rhythm. You're going to see a lot of single file, but anytime there's a bit of a bobble, you don't want to give that up. You may not get another shot making something happen. As you see, Jacek down on the inside just takes a look. He's going to back off. You see him drift wide. Probably went a little deep on the brakes there. Now the 14 is going to get underneath him. Could be a costly mistake for the 55 of Jacek.
Now let's talk about the penalties that these drivers are going to have if they do get involved in an incident. Even though there is no incident limit for this race, there are no free repairs in this series. So if you get involved in the wreck, iRacing becomes real racing. You're going to have to go down into the pits to get your car repaired.
Absolutely, and as I said, the aero's not going to be a big deal, but you slop the wall or you get rotated bad, you could end up bending things up in the suspension or in the toe, and that's going to make it really, really tough to go left all the time. Aero, not a huge deal, but mechanical grip is.
Well, this is definitely not the place we're used to seeing Brian Jacek running in. However, it's not too surprising given the fact and into the wall goes Chad Stolman down the backstretch. That just cost him a position, and you saw that right in front of Jacek.
Yeah, we were just talking about that. It doesn't take much, man. You just go a little bit wide, scrape that wall a little bit, see some scratches on the side of the 92, but car looks all right. I think he'll be in pretty good shape.
Yeah, he's lost 2 positions in total. He was in 10th, he's now down to 12th. And you'll see that incident, he just drifts out wide a little bit, tried to get back on the gas a bit too early coming out of a turn. It looks like he just drove into the wall there.
Yeah, you saw him actually started drifting up a little bit. Looked like he had a little bit of a push in the first part of that corner. Got a little bit of rotation, tried to get on that throttle. The back end started to rotate, caught it. But yeah, started to come out of the wall a little bit too much. No harm, no foul looks like for the 92 though.
No change for 14th position going on not too far behind them. Paul Pepper has just moved on by Tony Schoen.
Yeah, at the back end and all the way through the field, people are pretty much side to side, except for we've got a few people, again, making these quick moves, these looks down to the braking zone. The number 1 right now of Joe Hassert trying to make his way forward. Got the 55 of Jacek right behind him.
Yeah, not sure what happened to Stolman out of turn 2 that time, but he must have been involved in something else again because he lost another position. Meanwhile, we think Ricky Hardin just lost connection on screen there, which would definitely be unfortunate. He was running in 4th position, and it happened to him during practice. He lost the internet connection. So unfortunately, Hardin having some technical woes tonight.
Yeah, man, I hope that thing comes back. Right now, we don't have confirmation that thing's full on gone, but we do not see him on that scoring monitor right now. Looks like he's falling down the charts. At the sharp end, you do still have Jake Wright leading away from Brian Mellendorf. Those guys only half-second apart. They are pulling away from the rest of the field. James Krahula, 3rd right now, a full 3+ seconds back from your top 2 drivers. Now, that being said, we talked about how a green flag run was going to be important in keeping your equipment in one piece. I gotta wonder if Krahula is trying to do exactly that. Again, it is fixed setups. These guys don't have better or worse equipment than the next guy. It's about who's going to take care of their equipment and who's going to push too hard early.
Confirmation that Ricky Hardin has lost the internet connection. We'll see if he comes back in. Meanwhile, Randy Yoakum at the back of this little 4-car train we've been watching just had their moment coming off of 2. That's not the first time we've seen that happen to a driver tonight. Battle on for 9th position. We mentioned that, a bit of a moment for Joe Hassert. He had to lock up the left tyres to make sure he didn't collide into Brian Jacek there, but that gives Brian a position, and as we've been talking about, Brian, he didn't have a lot of time to practice. He didn't practice well, he didn't qualify well, but he's gaining experience points right now, working his way up through the field.
Absolutely, and actually I want to talk about Joe Hassert, Randy Yoakum, who's on the inside of Joe Hassert right now. Yoakum gets around him there. That is for the 10th spot, top 10 now for Randy Yoakum. I want to make a huge point about this. Randy did not qualify. Randy started in the back of the field. He is now 10th. He is moving up in a big way. He didn't get a good start, but he is moving up big. I'd be curious to see if he's able to do that while taking care of the tires, which we do know are a big deal around here.
Yeah,
we have one driver a bit
Stolman
loose coming out of 2 there. Was that Stallman again?
Yes, it was. It's not the first time. And the problem is, all of this is happening because the rear tyres are getting heated up. But each time you do get the wheel spin and you go off course, that's just heating your tyres up more.
Absolutely. It's all about pedal work around here. It's your left foot going in, it's your right foot coming out. We saw Stallman there real close, diamonding this circuit, but he's got to put more wheel on the backside. You see him get sideways.
Trouble on lap 15. It hasn't brought out a caution. Mark Emery has spun, entering pit road, and he is currently reversing down pit road, trying to get to his pit stall.
Yes, and actually it looked like he may have nosed it in to those water barriers as it came in. This is real bad for the 10. Good for everybody else because they don't have to worry about a caution, but it's not looking good for the 10.
And I think he's gonna retire from the race. The team is gonna push it in reverse back into the garage.
That's too bad for Emery there, Ed. He just came out of 4, and thing was already starting to rotate sideways. I don't think he was trying to go down pit road, but it was going whether he liked it or not.
Not missing much on track right now, so let's get an onboard view of this. We'll see him hit the wall. Of course, no free repairs available in this series. With no cautions coming out in the near future, he probably wouldn't get back in contention. So he just found the quickest and most entertaining way back to his pit stall. Unfortunate result, but thanks for the laugh there.
Yeah, it's a tough deal for Emery. We were just talking about those tires, as you were saying about coming off the corners and those rears. It is important, as are the fronts. As you start going barreling down in the corner, it's a flat track. You push too hard, you're going to overheat that right front. You're going to start having the car push up the track more and more and more. On the back half of the corner, out of turn 2 and turn 4, you get a little too greedy with the right foot. You're going to overheat the rear tires. You might get a little wheel spin. That's going to make it tougher and tougher for you to get off the corner, which means you'll lose time there. Or, as we just saw with Emery, that back end could step out on you. So these guys are really having to work for it. It ain't just a simple left, long straightaway, and another left.
Well, the driver with the freshest tyres right now and the fastest car on track by a long shot is unfortunately 6 laps down. Ricky Hardin has got his internet connection back and he is back in the race. He'll pick up 17th place in a couple of laps when he goes by the amount of laps that Mark Emery was able to complete. Unfortunately, we're going to have to see a lot of Brutus the Lucky Dog to see Ricky Hardin back in this race, and that cute little puppy hasn't made an appearance once today.
Indeed, it hasn't, but as you say, he does have the freshest tires, albeit way, way, way behind because of that internet connection issue. But at a half a second plus per lap, he is the first one to demonstrate just how different those tires are, having fresh or old ones. On your screen right now, you do see the 14. That is the driver of Pierre Daigle. He's got quite a few people all around him. You got the 55 of Yatsik, then Daigle. Then the 8 of Joachim. Joachim was actually in front of Yatsik one time, so it looks like Yatsik trying to find a little bit more pace and get through the front. Right behind him, Big Joe Hassard in the number 1, and Paul Pepper tagging along this group of 5, the closest we have on course right now.
New GSRC graphics there, keeping tabs on all 5 drivers in this little pack. Brian Yazik has moved forward and got out to the front of this pack, but how much of these tyres has he burnt off by doing that? Meanwhile, as Joe Hassett gets a bit slow off a turn, you were talking about Randy Joachim, didn't qualify and he's up to 10th there. But let's also give a shout out to Paul Pepper. He was 15th not too long ago, and he has caught the tail end of his pack, might be able to make a couple of moves.
Yeah, absolutely. Now that he's got him in his sights, he might be able to find a little bit of extra. At the end of the day, when you get right behind somebody, you can start playing the throttle. You can start playing the brake a little bit. Ease closer, and start gauging just how far you have to push it to try to gain time. As the 2.9 of Paul Pepper there, that's what we're talking about. You start the back end, just step out a little bit, exit to 4. You want to make sure you don't use too much right foot as you try to reel them in.
Meanwhile, the lap times for the leaders are a whole second off of a pace of where they were when they started this round. It's a tyre where it could certainly be an issue. Now, if they can't make it lap 50 on fuel, where they could do it on one stop, Do you think we'll see some drivers short pit, maybe around lap 40 or so, Smithy, so that they can get the advantage of the newer tyres?
It's an option. You could try to undercut. If fuel is going to be an issue, then that could be something they could try and do. It'll be interesting. If they are going to try and split it, they're going to try and split it in equal halves. So it's going to be between that 30 and 40 mark we start seeing things happen. So if we don't see anybody start to pit here in the next 10 laps, I got a feeling it's going to be a one-stop strategy for everybody.
Dan Murray into the pits.
Could I have spoke too soon right there with Dan Murray coming in? I would think that this might be a little bit early for Murray, especially if this thing's going to go green. I don't think there was any issue, though. I think it is a scheduled stop.
It's not like he can make any adjustments to his car.
Yeah, fair. I just don't think that he tapped the wall or anything like that. So I wonder if these guys are going to go ahead and split this thing up in quarters.
Well, it could still be just a really early two-stop. Try and use the undercut about 7 or 8 laps before the rest of the pack comes in. We'll have to wait and see.
At lap 25, he's pushing 3 stops right there. I mean, if it's a 50-lap window, he's got to make one more stop for sure. It's going to be right around lap 75, but that's a long middle stint.
Well, we can stand here and doubt. Murray will be the one proving us wrong if he has a trophy in victory lane by the end of the day. And don't count it out. We've seen Murray have pace in the past, and he was, let's not forget, he was 9th fastest in practice in the middle of the field, but qualified 4th. So he definitely could be a threat late on in this sim.
Yeah, now just watch him as he comes off turn 4. He's going to have that grip. He should be able to come off nice as he ducks to the inside of that blue number 02. Easily done, and the 02 is going to let him by. Very smartly done there. Next up on the docket, it's going to be that number 87. A little bit of a slip up from the 87 is going to make just that much easier for Murray. This is good for him because he's not burning up a lot of tires as he's trying to come through the field. Be curious to see how much extra speed he has, but he goes a little bit long there, a little bit deep. He's got to make sure he doesn't burn him up as he tries to work his way through the field. He is the first driver 1 lap down right now.
Yeah, the only driver 1 lap down, and if a caution did come out, which granted is not what he wants everyone to cycle through their pit stops, but if a caution did come out, he would get the Coastal Safety Auditor's lucky dog. But we'll have to wait and see if that happens. Right now it doesn't look like it's going to happen in a hurry.
No, it doesn't. Right now your leader is Jake Wright. He is running a 31.8 around this joint. 31.8 is going to be the time that we're going to be watching from him and the other front runners. With our fast laps come from the guys who've already pit. That Murray, see what he's clocking right now. Looks like a 0.2, so not a bunch of gain out of Murray. That's interesting.
He didn't have the straight line speed going down the front straight to begin last lap, considering the fact that he had just gone by one of the lead cars. So let's see what he does this time around now that he's had the whole track to himself for a lap.
Indeed, last time by a 31.2, this time by actually a little slower, 31.3. He's employing that diamond I was talking about. He's in on the curb on the first part of the corner, then comes out in the middle and back down. 31.3 out of him. Jake Wright, 31.7 on much older tires. So Wright really flying.
Did you pick Paul Pepper to pull his way through the field today? Well, there he just broke into the top 10 with a pass there on Joe Hassett. He had slowly been closing in on that pack. We saw Hassett having tyre issues earlier in the run, whereas Paul was towards the back of the field at the start of this run. Maybe he saved something for the long run.
I wouldn't be surprised. Pepper is a pretty smart cookie. We saw him at Irwindale beat guys on strategy. As I say that, I do know that our leaders starting to come up on traffic a little bit. The number 27, Jake Wright, starting to work his way around traffic. This guy's going down a lap for the very first time. You got Billy Tungate up there.
Now, of course, these drivers are placed into a bit of a box because they can't really try and short pit and use an undercut now, because if they did so, they'd go a second lap down, and then if you get a caution and you're 2 laps down, you can be in trouble. Pierre Daigle, meanwhile, though, has came into the pit.
I'll tell you, you know who this is bad for is anybody who's pitting early and goes a lap down, because right now, as Wright starts to pick people off, that puts them the first person 1 lap down. Daigle now in the pits. He's a little bit further up and trying to make this thing happen. This is a little bit closer to what I thought we would see on a 2-stop strategy, trying to split this thing in thirds. This is a little bit closer. I'm really curious to see what Murray can do here as Daigle comes out.
Murray's all the way over in turns 3 and 4 right now. So he's about half a lap ahead of Daigle, but I think he was ahead of him before this all began.
Again, once you see Daigle come off the corner here, is going to be a good amount of grip here, even with a little bit cooler tires. Down into turn number 1, see if we can make it happen.
Brian Mellendorf, who has been running second all race, just got a piece of a wall coming out of turn 2. It probably cost him a bit of time. I don't think it damaged his car a whole lot, but even the runners at the front of the field beginning to struggle on those rear tires.
Yeah, you can see that America Oreo car right there, the 41, getting through the corner, making things happen around the 00, but I think just maybe a little bit too much right foot. Pushed up towards the wall, a little scrape, not too bad. He should be in good shape still.
But it's only going to get worse, Smithy, as this run goes on. I'm with you. If it's a 2-stop race, why aren't we seeing more cars come into the pits now?
Well, they may be trying to push this one a little bit longer and maybe undercut the second one. You got some options. Maybe they're trying to keep them open. If you're the 2.7, if you're the 4.1, the 2 guys out front, you have a very big advantage on everybody else. So it may not be conducive to making it happen now. The guys in the middle of the field, though, they got to try something.
We've only seen 2 attempt to do something so far. Granted, if we get a caution flag in the second half, I don't think it will be the only one, just because everyone races a little bit harder when the checkered flag gets closer.
Absolutely, and as you can see on screen right now, the number 1 at Hassard, that NOS machine, that Toyota Camry, he's got the Great Clips driver of Paul Pepper just behind him, that number 29. Pepper has been a little bit better here in the long run. I think that Pepper was going easy at the beginning. Oh, a bit of a moment. Coming off of turn 4, Pepper saves it. I don't think he touched the wall, but everything gained here the last couple of laps, lost in one fell swoop.
Well, we're approaching the halfway point where it's about to get very busy, so before it does get a bit busy, let's give you an advocate through the field here as we approach the halfway point. Jake Wright has absolutely been dominating the first half of this race, and if you could give a domination award to the guy starting in second, it would easily go to Brian Mellendorf. He has been holding that position down since the start. James Kahula was very fast in practice, started back in 5th. We thought he'd do a little better. He's up to 3rd now. Drew Carroll, really haven't gave him a shout out tonight. He's running there in 4th place. And then DJ Beverly is rounding out the top 5 in the number 02 machine, despite only being 8th fastest in practice. All these drivers back around this far benefiting from a couple of drivers coming into the pit, such as Jody Green in 6th. However, we've been watching Brian Jarzik all race long. He's definitely had to work his way up to 7th, as has Randy Yoakum in 8th position. After not qualifying, he started 17th, he's up to 8th. Joe Hassett, we've seen him struggling with tyres a little bit. He's running 9th, and he has gotten back by Paul Pepper, who currently rounds out the top 10 as we approach the halfway point of this race, and pit road should be getting busy very shortly.
Yeah, absolutely. We are starting to see that split. The guys trying to go for the 2-stopper or the 1-stopper. And as we get past lap 42 here, I got a feeling these guys are going to try to make things happen. It looks like we're going to go full green here. These guys are playing it real nice. It's not the hardest joint to get around to keep it green, but anything can happen. And I think these guys are still expecting a 1-stopper to be the key.
Which makes you wonder why we saw 2 cars come in to try and 2-stop it if they can make it on 1 stop. But then again, we can't guarantee you yet that they can. These last 7 laps are going to be quite crucial.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. I mean, Dan Murray is the first person to pit. He right now is the second person 1 lap down. He's got Stallman just in front of him. Actually, I think he just got around him, so that's a big move for Murray. He is now in the catbird seat for any kind of caution that comes out as the 5 gets around the 92 there. The 92 yet to pit. He's gone down 1 lap via pace. Remember, he had some issues earlier getting the back end hanging out a little bit. So be interesting to see what happens here with this strategy. I do want to take a look at Mellendorf, who's cut out about 7 seconds on Jake Wright, right? Or excuse me, 7/10. Big difference. 7/10 on Jake Wright. Second place driver starting to close in. I think that had to do with traffic, though.
Yeah, Chad Stallman comes into the pits, but meanwhile, Tony Sherwin is actually first driver lapped down. He just got lapped. And you've been seeing the second place driver, Brian Mellendorf, blink in and out. Hopefully he doesn't lose his internet connection. So, Chad Stallman was probably thinking about doing a one-stopper, but he may have just realised that's not going to be feasible. So he comes into the pits on lap 44.
Yeah, and it could be one of those things where these guys are expecting maybe at least one caution to make it not have to worry about it. As the number 5 is getting around the 31 there, that is once again the spot for the lucky dog. So he's going to get that thing done. As you see on screen right now, the 55 getting around the 13. That is 4th position. Yatsik around Jody Green. So Yatsik didn't look like he had the pace 100% on some of these other guys, but you look at him taking a little bit different line here. He's the only guy running that almost a full lane higher. I wonder if that's taking care of those tires better than some of these guys. This thing might be coming to Yatsik. The old 5.5 could be at the sharp end before the end.
Or it could be coming to Murray, because look at the next car Murray's going to pass is Brian Mellendorf, the driver in 2nd position. Granted, he's a lap behind him, but these leaders are going to have to pit very soon. Although, none of them seem to be in a hurry to make it to the pits. It looks like they might be able to make it to the halfway point.
Yeah, and that's going to spell disaster for Murray. He needs a caution as soon as he gets out in front. If he can get a caution, that means he can pit with these guys at the exact same time. A caution right now means he gets a lucky dog, but he doesn't get a pit right away. As you see, the 41, 2nd place, moves up the track. Lets that 5 get around him. Look at the closing rate coming off this corner. The 5 on the 2.7. Good news for the 4-1, though. Here comes Mellendorf right there with Murray.
One thing that, of course, could bring out a caution mid-race is with these different strategies going on, the drivers on the newer tyres are going to be so much faster than drivers on the older tyres that the closing rate could pose issues.
It could. We don't have a very congested circuit, though, so it shouldn't be too big of a deal. And also, it looks like most people have gone with that one-stop strategy. Is up the inside. Here comes the 5. It's him a little bit further back. 2.7 is going to drift up and let him go. He's going to lose a bit of time, too. Here comes the 41, and Mellendorf closing it up even more.
Drew Carroll came in at the completion of lap 48. At the completion of lap 49, Mellendorf comes into the pits.
Interesting. So that 50 lap-ish that we were thinking, right there, that is the completion of lap 49, the beginning of lap 50. So it's going to be right on the bubble. Looks like these guys can make things happen. Undercut from Mellendorf. Can he make a little something happen on right? They were right close together. Interesting to see what happens to the top two. And I do know that Krahula coming in this time. Looks like the 2.7 could be coming in as well. Things are getting busy on pit lane.
Paul Pepper is in as well. Lots of cars coming in at the middle of a race. Tony Sherwin. They're trying to split this race into 2 halves. That would mean, theoretically, scientifically, that would mean you get to the finish as fast as possible because you're never on tyres older than 50 laps.
Certainly. Right now it's going to be the guy to watch, Mellendorf. He's the first one to have pit. He's coming out of turn 4 right now. He shortcut everybody else. Let's see if he can get a little bit of extra and find his way around.
Yeah, Dan Murray has leapfrogged Mellendorf, and he's not going to be able to leapfrog Jake Wright. Jake Wright wins the race when all is said and done, and we're going to see Dan Murray drop back like a rock now because of those older tyres.
Yeah, best thing that happens is Murray gets that caution he's looking for right here, because everybody's decided to go with the one-stop strategy. Murray is going to need a little bit of help if he's going to make this strategy work. But as you say, Mellendorf back in a second was not able to use that undercut to make anything happen on Wright. Wright will be your definitive leader once everybody gets their pit stops done.
Yeah, Jody Green currently leads the field around, and I think he's on the radio saying he's come into the pits. Now, it's curious to see, we still don't know how far these drivers can actually get on fuel, because Jody Green coming in now is doing it for tyres. I should imagine he knows everyone else is on newer tyres, so why not pit and get some on his so he doesn't lose out too much time. But the drive I'm very curious about right now is Stallman, who pitted on lap 44. If they all could have made it to about lap 56, then he should be able to get to the end on one stop.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to keep an eye on these guys and see just how far they can go. Certainly these guys pitting early are going to need a little bit of help. At the sharp end, though, things are getting a little bit closer between our front few.
So, it looks like pit stops have finished up around here. And of course, another big winner from being an early pitter is Pierre Daigle, but he might have to come down pit road one more time. Of course, what Daigle and Murray would really love is a caution right now.
Yeah, it's not a terrible strategy, you know, try to make that thing happen, get some track position, and maybe something goes your way. If it doesn't go your way, then you got to make that extra stop, and things are going to look a little bit different as we get to the back part of the court, or back part of this race. Right now, the guys that I'm looking at are James Krahula in P4, Juke Carroll in P5, the 24 and 87 of the probably the closest battle right now that I'm looking at, besides Yoakum and Green a little bit further back. But that is even spread out a little bit. Again, it's just about cutting laps. You still got to take care of your tires now. If you start burning them off too quick after the pit stop, you're going to be kind of junk here in the last few laps.
Well, DJ Beverly just did take 6 from Pierre Daigle, but it really was no contest. Beverly has about 15 laps on his tyres over Daigle.
Yeah, that's to be expected. Daigle's in the same game as Murray is, and that's try to keep the thing in one piece. Try not to burn the tires up too far. You know you got to make one more stop, so try not to make it any sooner than you have to.
Yeah, here's a battle for 10th you were talking about. Green trying to go by Yoakum. Now, Jody Green was the last driver to come into the pit, so he's got the freshest tyres of anyone on track right now. But what he's got to be careful of is that he doesn't burn them off too much trying to pass Yoakum.
That's real easy to do, too. When you're this close to the next guy, you know you got a little something. You see him closing under the brakes. He's going to use up a little bit more there. See what he does coming on throttle. They're pretty even coming off. Small advantage to Green. Let's see if he can make something down into one, close the gap a little bit.
Right on board to get a view once again of just how long these turns are around here.
And he saw there that was Yoakum in front there in the Virginia's car. He's the one using the curb a little bit, who is a little bit different than Green.
Dan Murray into the pits. Lap 58, and this will take him to the end obviously, but I guess he abandoned his initial strategy.
Maybe do it earlier. I mean, that's not a bad idea. Maybe he does a little bit early as you see the 13 taking a look on the 8. A little bit close. The 8 cuts it back down and gets in front of him.
Billy Tungate skids and somehow does not hit a single fin. And I don't know how he didn't hit anything at all. Not only did he not slide into the pit wall, he missed the water barrels.
Good news for most drivers, no caution. That's a bad news for everybody else, though, as they needed to have a little action. See him down on the inside? Looks like maybe just a little bit too much right foot. And around she goes.
What does he get close? Oh, he did hit the tyre barrier. Yeah, so that's a bit of an unfortunate end there for Billy Tungate. He hadn't been having a fantastic race either, but of course, the advantage here, with this being a bit of a smaller field, only 19 cars, surely just participation has got to be a big help in the points championship if you can't get into the chase on wins.
No, absolutely. I mean, just getting some things done is getting you a little higher up on the charts. On track right now, you do see that same battle we were talking about before the replay. The 8 and the 13 will look right behind him. That is our leader. The 8 of Yoakum, the 13 of Green, and then the 2-7 behind him is the leader. To the inside is Green as they go down towards turn number 1, hard on the brakes. Let's see if the 8 can hold the outside as they try the over-under.
And the driver hating this even more than Joachim right now is right. He does not want this battle to hold him up.
No, he doesn't, but he's got a little bit to play with at almost 3 seconds advantage. You saw the 8 drop in behind the 13 now, single file. They got the 00 in front of him of Runkle Jr. Going to go another lap down. Runkle not in this game today. Coming off the corner, everybody's unscathed. Continues on, but still right behind these two guys at the back part of the lead lap.
And this whole pack is catching Paul Pepper in 7th place. It's hard to see him from time to time. He's been blinking in and out. But Paul Pepper running in the solid 7th right now. But I'm not sure he will be for much longer.
Yeah, absolutely. Not only is Wright making his way around the number 8 for that lap down. Oh, and the 8 sideways coming off of turn number 4 saves it. Great job by Joachim there. Looks like he just tried to get a little bit too much right foot. Holds onto it. Wright now closing on the back bumper of Green, but Green looking for position on Pepper as they come off at turn number 2.
Poor Paul Pepper is about to be passed. I have a feeling here as they go down the back straight. Jody Green Jody Green right now for position has really been reeling him in. Obviously, he probably was helped out a lot there by Randy Joachim sliding his rear tires.
Now, Pepper took a long time to come up to, not necessarily speed, but he was definitely taking care of his equipment. I wonder if he's just trying to run his own race, expects this thing to go green, maybe snag some people at the end. As the 13 grabs a little bit of curb there in the middle of the corner. 27 is going to have to really be patient and be careful as he gets around these guys. He's lost 7/10 to Mellendorf. You can't be too patient.
And all these drivers have actually gained a position, you may have noticed, because DJ Beverly, who has been running in the top 10 all race long, has lost the internet connection.
That's unfortunate. Yeah, as you say, Beverly inside the top 5, the 0-2. Disconnected from the service there. It's really rough for him. He had to go, oh, the 13 sideways out of turn number 2. They're just trying to get a little bit more and try to make things happen. He doesn't lose a position. That is the leader getting around him, but anxious moments for the 13 and our leader as it happened right in front of him.
Meanwhile, one driver's misfortune is another driver's fortune. Brian Jarzik has been able to race his way up into the top 5. He just passed Pierre Daigle. Once again, it wasn't much of a contest because Daigle is on very old tyres.
Yeah, and to that point, if Pepper, Green, and company can keep this thing a little bit clean, they might be able to catch up to Daigle and snag another spot, given this thing stays green the entire way.
So Paul Pepper goes a lap down. We're down to just 6 drivers on the lead lap right now, and that also brings Jody Green back up behind him.
Yeah, you know what? Murray's not too far behind Joachim either, and remember, Murray made that stop. He made that early stop there to try to go the long distance on the last run, but he could start coming into play with Joachim and Green before this thing's over.
I'm amazed this two-stop strategy might not actually hurt him too much.
That's a great point. It may not. I mean, right now he is the 4th driver 1 lap down, so a caution's bad news for Murray. But he's starting to make inroads. He's starting to make things happen there. A 32-0 last time by is not exactly what he wanted to see. But a 32-3 from the driver he's trying to catch. So peeling off 0.3 at a time, that's not too bad.
Yeah, Randy Joachim going through the turn right now, and an announcement that Ricky Harding will be coming into the pits. Reminder, Ricky lost the connection earlier in the race and fell multiple laps down. And he came back in the session. We haven't heard any words about DJ Beverly coming back in.
Yeah, on screen right now, you do see Mellendorf trying to find his way to the inside of Green. He'll get that done before they get down to turn number 3. Mellendorf trying to reel back in right. He's about 1.5 seconds behind. Still within striking distance if he can take care of the equipment and find something to the end. Next up for Mellendorf is the 29. Number 29 we've been talking about quite a bit. That is Paul Pepper. Was able to hold off the charge from Green there, but now Green's starting to reel him back in a little bit.
And let's not forget that these drivers in 7th, 8th and 9th aren't too far away, and who that's great news for is Dan Murray, because when he catches Randy Yoakum, which will happen, I don't know, I'd say about 10-20 laps from now, he won't be too far behind moving up into the top 7. Meanwhile, Ricky Hardin has officially retired from the race, and that is only our 3rd retirement of the race. DJ Beverly lost the internet connection, and Mark Emery reversed into the garage.
Yeah, I mean, we've gone green the entire way. We've only had internet issues and one self-spin. So these guys are able to get around here pretty good without a lot of mistakes. We've had just a couple of, sliding going on. Here's a 13 to the inside of the 2.9. 2.9 almost gets to the wall. 13 has to give him some more room. Down into turn number 1. Late braking out of the 29. Can he hold the outside as he pinches him down? 13 has to ease on that right foot. Coming off the corner side by side. Who's going to have it down into turn number 3? The advantage is Jody Green's. Once again, the 2.9 holds the outside very, very close from the 13. Should be able to get him clear here, though.
Well, Paul Pepper, I don't think it's really a smart idea to race Jody Green that hard, because he's burning his tyres off and they're both losing time to Randy Yoakum behind them.
Absolutely. Here comes Yoakum. He's right there. It was two people fighting. Now it's going to be 3 here real quick with Yoakum and the number 8 coming up on the 2.9. I don't expect the 2.9 to fight back with the 13. And remember that when Green got around Yoakum too, he immediately was able to pull out a little bit. So I do think that the 13 has probably got a little bit better handle on what's going on. As you start to see him pull away a little bit more. It'll be interesting to see how long it takes for Yoakum to get to the back bumper a pupper.
Only about a quarter of this race left to go. We don't expect anything to change up front if it stays green around here, but that could be a big if with a 4-car pack here forming in the not too distant future. Reminder, Dan Murray is running this pack of 3 down.
Yeah, indeed. Remember Murray, he did make that stop. For him, about lap 53, a good 5 to 6 laps later, he's got some fresher tires than these guys. And he is running a little bit quicker. Last time by a 31.7 out of Murray. Green, arguably one of the faster of these 3, 31.9. So 2/10 quicker for Murray on this group. It's not going to take too much to make that happen.
Oh, Daigle's into the wall on the front straight. That brings out the caution.
And it all changes.
It was right at the time Chad Storman was coming into the pits. These were the other 2 drivers behind Dan Murray who pitted early enough that they had to make a second pit stop. Storman was coming in right at the time Daigle lost it.
Yeah, and it's going to be an interesting one too. Look at how far through the corner he is. And it just, it looked like he pushed up and he might have overcorrected a little bit. 14 gets loose and then noses into the wall. Service goes caution right away on the speedway.
I was going to say this is huge for Chad Stallman, but I don't think that's the case. He's 2 laps down. It was a good time to pit, but hey, the leaders are all coming into the pits now, and they're 2 laps ahead of him. And when I say leaders, there's only 6 of them left on the lead lap, I believe. It looks like it's Jody Green, who is going to be our first and perhaps our only winner of the Coastal Safety Auditors Lucky Dog. As the leaders come into the pits to service their pit stops, there is Brutus, our Lucky Dog on TV right there. Congratulations, Mr. Green. And there you see, Jake Wright did not win the race off of pit road. Brian Mellendorf, I believe, beat him out of pit road.
Absolutely, that's a development. That's very, very exciting. Mellendorf, who's been hanging out in second, just not quite as much speed as Wright, it seems. Now your new leader, Wright second, Krahula third off pit lane.
And confirmation, Mellendorf did take 4 tyres, so he will lead Wright and Krahula and Carroll and Jody Green back as the leaders on this restart. I thought Brian Jarzik was on the lead lap as well, I believe he is. There he is in 6th position. The rest of the drivers all a lap down and coming in to get their service right now. So we will reset it all for you. We're going to take a quick break. We will be back for hopefully the final green flag round. A bit of a shootout to end this one at the Milwaukee Mile.
Hang on, we're not going green, not going green.
Hello and welcome back to the Milwaukee Mile. My apologies there. This is the Milwaukee 100 and it is about to become the Milwaukee 20. A 20-lap shootout with 8 cars on the lead lap. 5 of them were there to begin with. 1 of them got the lucky dog and will restart in 6th place. That's Jody Green. Ryan Jarzik is actually in 5th. 2 drivers who were 1 lap down did not pit under that caution and have now taken the wave around and will restart at the tail end of the field, and they are Dan Murray and Joe Hassett. Pace car lights are off. We're about to get back underway here, Smithy.
Absolutely, and for the first time all race, Brian Mellendorf here with less than 20 laps to go, has the lead with fresh tires, as does Jake Wright to his outside. James Krahula pushing him along, fresh tires as well. Drew Keller 4th. Yatzik's been right up there with speed. Jody Green just got his lap back. We saw him toward the sharp end as well. Murray and Hassett, they need a yellow. Let's see how this thing goes.
And the pace car should be about to peel off. If they don't get that yellow, they could fall a lap down and risk losing more positions. But Mellenhoff leads the field away as the green goes back out in the air. And he got a great jump on Jake Wright. A horrible restart by James Kurahula. Restarting 3rd, and he slides up into Drew Carroll. Carroll drifts through the turn. Is he going to save it? No, it's Jarzik.
And it's starting to collect the 2.9s around. That's Pepper. Multiple cars involved. I believe Hassett might have gotten involved in that as well. No, excuse me, that was Daigle. I think that was the Daigle, the 14 of Daigle came around there and was able to clip him there at the end. You see as they come off, this is going to be Mellendorf with a big run. Wright is 2nd. Inside the green car, that is Krahula. Pushes up the track, just barely gets into Carroll. Carroll not able to hold on to it. As you see him catch it once, starts to rotate. Nowhere to go as the 5-5 of Yahtzee, boom. And they all get collected from there.
And the lucky dog would have gone to Paul Pepper, but he was involved in the incident, and the late blow there as one of the cars tries to get back around. Dan Murray also having to restart at the tail end of the field, got collected a little bit in that. And he wanted a caution, but he was a part of it, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's too bad. I mean, that's one of the things, too, here with the Milwaukee Mile. Restarts are a big part of the game. Diving down in the corner there after going real fast for a while and trying to keep underway. I'll tell you what, we got a lucky dog on our hands here, Sam. It's Randy Yoakum.
Yeah, so Randy Yoakum must have been out in front of Paul Pepper when the caution flew. So there we get to see our Coastal Safety Auditor's lucky dog Brutus again. Randy Yoakum gets back on the lead lap now. One driver I think who's made a very smart decision under this caution was Joe Hassett. He's restarting in 5th position, and he didn't have any damage on his car from the wreck. Pretty much everyone else who came into the pits did. But he knows that the 4 drivers restarting in front of him are on older tyres. He's not losing any positions here, I don't think, so why not pit and have the tyre advantage over those front 2 rows on the restart?
Well, as you say, I mean, for Joe, it was nothing to lose there. Remember, Joe and Dan had just taken the wave around on the previous caution, so they had very, very old tires. They're going to be running around for 7th, 8th, 9th at best. Now with brand new tires, only a little bit better than these other guys, you know, it could be big for these guys here with just a couple of laps to go. We get a couple of restarts. Murray, Hassert, they're going to be the ones at the sharp end.
2 drivers have officially retired after that wreck. They both had smoke pouring out of their vehicles, and those were Paul Pepper and Don Runkle Jr. And with the wave around going into effect, it looks like we're showing 9 cars on the lead lap right now. But of course, tyre strategy, I think we're going to see a bit of a 5-car shootout up front here.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with you. You got Mellendorf and Wright. We only did like what 500 feet of actual green flag racing there with Mellendorf out front, Wright, Krahula. Those are the 3 guys who've been at the sharp end. Green now back into the game. Hassett with fresh tires. Yoakum gets the lucky dog, and Murray with fresh tires. Yasik collected in that run. He had fresh tires. Got his damage repaired. Hopefully, all rest to play. We've only got about 14 or so laps to go.
Saw Dan Murray ducking into the pits there. That, of course, isn't the strategy call. He's trying to get more repairs. Now, let's not forget that Brian Mellendorf is having internet issues. He keeps seeing his car blinking in and out. However, it's never really been gone for any more than a couple of milliseconds. But hopefully that doesn't interfere with the restart here. James Krahula has a second chance, which you don't always get in motor racing. He got a horrible restart at the start of the last one, which may have actually contributed to the incident. But let's see if he can do a bit better jump off the line this time.
Yeah, you can see these guys are well further back from the pace car before making things happen. Pace car in.
Green flag, green flag.
And your leader takes off. This time, Wright's going to be a heck of a lot closer. He should be able to drop in line if you'd like to. Yes, he does. Krahula dives it down to the inside. He's going to slot into 3rd and has a look at the 2-7. No dice.
Mellendorf leads them away, but it's Wright who's been the fastest driver all day, or at least has been the driver leading and hasn't been challenged. Is he going to challenge Mellendorf? He's thinking about it.
Now's the time to do the 41's a little bit high. Here comes the 2-7. Can the 41 come back onto the outside? Needs a little bit of a run. Is not going to happen. Awesome right foot control with the 2-7. Let's see if Mellendorf can come back. Again, further outside line. Look at him try to lay apex this thing. Get the run. Using a lot of curve. That's going to get it loose on the exit, but he holds on.
That pass was a lot easier than what I thought it would be. Let's not forget Mellendorf got in the wall at one point during the race. We didn't think it damaged his car that much, but that could be a bit of a factor.
Yeah, and hey, a bit of a shout out to the 5.5 of P4, Brian Yasik. He's the one who center punched the driver of Carroll in that last yellow, and he's rolling still P4. Yasik doing a heck of a job with a damaged race car.
And Joe Hassett in 5th place on those newer tyres. Granted, only a few laps newer, but he hasn't been able to do anything with them.
Yeah, and remember the 5.5, I mean, these guys don't have very old tires, so having those fresh tires is almost having even tires at this point. It's really going to come down to the drivers. The 41 is pushing hard. See the back end step out a little bit out of 4. Only about 11 laps to play here.
And the caution flag with about 4 or 5 laps to go would end it, so that just makes it even more trying times for the drivers a bit further back in the field to try and make a move. We see a couple of drivers getting a bit too close to the turn 2 wall down the backstretch. I think Randy Yoakum scraped it a little bit.
Yeah, and actually a little bit further back, I talked about him getting involved in that wreck. Sideways with Drew Carroll. He's now taking a look at Jody Green. This is 7th to 6th. Probably the closest fight right now. We'll always keep an eye on the leaders. But Green coming under fire from Carroll.
Well, these are our 2 Lucky Dog winners of a race, and here they are battling for 6th in the closing laps.
Absolutely, Carroll trying to get back up there another position after getting sideways from Krahula. Way wide is the 13 of Green. Here comes the 87, side by side off the corner. Give it to Carroll.
Meanwhile, Drake Wright continues to build a bit of a gap over Mellendorf now. With 9 laps left to go, the battle might be on for 2nd. Krahula reeling in Mellendorf, although he drops back a little bit coming out of turn 2.
Yeah, we do have a couple of battles that are just starting to brew. We'll keep an eye on them if they do come to fruition. Wright, Mellendorf, Krahula is the closest 1, 2, 3 right now. A little bit further back, we do have the Carroll and Green thing that's not done just yet, as well as Yoakum and Murray a little bit further back. So, guys trying to snag a few more spots here in their waning laps.
Yeah, and I think Yoakum and Murray both have a couple of dents on their machine. We know Murray does. They come out of turn 2, and Yoakum is able to keep off the wall this time, and they'll be able to keep that 8th position. That being said, as you mentioned, the battle up front is the closest one right now, but Wright is doing a good job of maintaining the gap over the 2nd place machine.
Yeah, not a whole lot of tire saving right now. This is hot lap time. You got inside of 20 laps. It's time to go. Do what you can. And right now, the fastest guy all race has been Wright when he's proven it again right now on the last few laps.
Bit of an aggressive battle going on for 12th lap down. Pierre Daigle, who was involved in an incident that brought out one of the portions, was running Billy Tungate down to the inside of a circuit. They are currently running... Oh, actually, Tungate is 5 laps down, so I'm not entirely sure what was going on there.
These guys are spread out a little bit right now. We're going to be coming up on 5 to go this time across the line. Wright, your leader. Mellendorf, 2nd. Krahula, 3rd. Yovsik, 4th. And Hassert rounding out your top 5 with 5 laps to go.
Well, it doesn't look like, unless anyone has a moment, that there's going to be a lot of changes for position here. That being said, we've seen a lot of drivers have a moment, especially when they've got laps on their tyres. None of them are conserving their tyres right now. 5 laps to go. There could be a battle for 5th. Drew Carroll all up over Joe Hassett for that position right now.
Absolutely. Carroll is in 6th. Hassert is in 5th. He's the one that everybody wants to beat to score that top 5 in the record books. Hassert 5th, Carroll 6th, and Green actually closing in as well. Coming off turn 4, here comes 87 is loose. 87 loses it. We're going to have a caution.
That'll end the race, and that's very unfortunate for Drew Carroll. He had been having a good race all night long.
Just try getting on that right foot and get that bit of a run to try to take the fight to Joe. I wonder if possibly any damage on the 87 made the car a little bit harder to hold on to. And the back end just came around on him.
Well, say unfortunate, he was 6th. He's going to drop to 9th. I'm sure he would have preferred 6th. Boy, and be glad that he spun towards the inside of a circuit. That could have been ugly if he'd gone upstairs. It's always the irony, isn't it? The races that have longer screen flag runs, they get a caution at the end, they begin racing a little bit hard, and it ends under yellow, which really isn't a representation of the kind of racing we saw there here today.
No, absolutely. These guys drove very, very cleanly, very smartly. But here at the end, this is when you start pushing. This is when you start to try to get everything you can, and the harder you push, the more likely for a mistake, and we saw it today.
Yeah, let's give a shout out to Dan Murray with that 8th place finish. I know it's not what he wanted, but considering not only was he involved in that incident, the multi-car incident, but he played that 2-stop strategy and he's still going to finish on the lead lap here, or is he? He just dropped off a pace there, not entirely sure why he did that.
I think it was letting the 92 by there for that final lucky dog of the day. 92, Chad Stallman going to snag it up.
Yes, Chad Stallman will get the lucky dog here and the privilege of saying, the bragging rights of saying, I should say, that he finished on the lead lap. There you see the Coastal Safety Auditor's lucky dog Brutus. It's not going to help him out a whole lot, but still, why not? Why not say you completed all of the laps today? It's called the Milwaukee 100. It sounds a lot better to say that than the Milwaukee 99.
Indeed, it does. And, Jake right out front, he was the guy to beat. Mellendorf beats him in the pits there in that second or third to last caution here, but last pit stop for those guys. Wright was able to take the fight to him, and Wright did seem to be the guy to beat all day.
Absolutely. He has not won a race this season. He was fastest in practice, he was fastest in qualifying, he led the most laps, and it only seems fitting that he was going to walk away with his first victory of the season today, which should lock him into the chase for the championship at the end of the season.
Yeah, maybe that's the bigger part of it too, locking him into the chase. He is 2 spots up on the point leader, James Krahuler, but at the end of the day, getting that W means the chase, and he can work on the craft a little bit more than having to worry about the chase.
Looks like Jake Wright, Brian Mellendorf, James Krahula, Brian Jarzik and Joe Hassett will be your top 5, which is pretty much where they were when that final run began. Lots of clean racing here at Milwaukee. There were overtaking opportunities, but these drivers, they pretty much qualified where they're going to end up finishing here. But well earned to Jake Wright as he comes across the finish line to win here at the Milwaukee Mile. And we will get to talk to Jake Wright as well as some of the other finishers here. We'll be back with a full race rundown, so don't go away. Hello and welcome back to the Milwaukee Mile, where we just witnessed 100 laps of racing action here. It finished under yellow, but and it began with a long green flag round. We were hoping it would go green the whole way. Wasn't quite the case, but either way, it looked like it was Jake Wright who was going to take home the win today, and he did, ahead of Brian Mellendorf, who was second most of the race. James Kahula was fast in practice, qualified 5th, finished in 3rd place. Brian Jarzik worked his way up through the field all race long and came home in 4th. Joe Hassett tried a bit of tyre strategy at the end, but could only manage 5th place. Jody Green got 6th with Drew Carroll spinning at the end there. Randy Yoakum and Dan Murray also moved up a position with that incident to 7th and 8th, while Drew Carroll was 9th. Chad Stallman got the lucky dog on the race-ending caution, so he will be the last car on the lead lap in 10th place.
After that, you do have Tony Schoen. We didn't talk about him almost at all, but had a smooth run to 11th, the first driver 1 lap down. Pierre Daigle in the 12th spot, another lap down. Remember, he got involved in that final run, kind of center punched the driver, hurt his chances to get a little bit higher up. Billy Tungate, 5 laps down in 13th. Paul Pepper, a guy who was making things happen with the pit strategy, unfortunately involved in that last run, 18 laps down, did not finish the race. Then we got Don Runkle in 15th. Ricky Harden unfortunately had that internet connection issue. 37th, DJ Beverly, 16 position for Harden, 37 laps down. 41 laps down, DJ Beverly in 17th. Then Mark Emery in 18th, 85 laps down.
So, they were the drivers who didn't have as good of a race. Let's talk to the top 4 drivers who had the best 4 races out there, beginning with the driver in 4th place, and we'll work our way up through the field. That'll be Brian Jarzik. So, let me just grab Brian here. Brian, congratulations on a 4th place finish after starting in 11th today.
Well, thank you, Sammy. Yeah, didn't get a whole lot of practice time on this track, and it really kind of hurt me because apparently I don't quite remember how to get around this joint that good. So I kind of took the first 20-something laps of the race and said, you know what, we're going to try to figure this out and get there. And then right before the pit stop, I kind of looking at the times, and I'm like, okay, I think I'm hitting on something. So that's when decided to make my strategy call there at halfway and kind of run with it and try to get this HPPsimulation.com Ford up to the front.
Well, you weren't able to get it all the way to the front. Did those cautions at the end play to your advantage, or were you hoping it would have gone green to the end?
I was hoping it would have gone green to the end, in all honesty, because I felt kind of at the very tail end of the race, or the longer it went, the lap times kind of evened out. And, I could maybe trade a 10th or 2 here and there with those guys. I mean, I had nothing for Jake, though. That guy was just flat fast. Him and Brian, they both ran a great race, and, it's good. Still trying to figure this some of this stuff out, but, Milwaukee not being one of my better ones, but, hey, we got there.
Alright, well, congratulations on your 4th place finish here, Brian. We know you enjoy racing out there. We enjoy watching you race out there. It was fun here in the broadcast booth too, but we look forward to seeing you back out there on track soon. And, hey, maybe you can pick off a podium finish, if not a win next time.
Well, that's our goal. Next time we're going to be on TV with this HPPsimulation.com and new sponsor, houseofjerky.com. We're going to be up on there Wednesday, and, we're going to try to get to the top of the podium, Sam. I'm kind of getting tired of talking to you this early. I want to be like the last guy that's all special and stuff.
Oh, you're always special, Brian. Thanks for coming to talk to us.
All right. Have a great one, Sammy.
Well, let's talk to another special driver who's had his fair share of talking with the GSRC, and that is James Kahula. He was 2nd fastest in practice, qualified 5th, brought it home in 3rd, and Smithy has caught up with him.
Hey James, not too shabby with the finish in 3rd, but I got to be honest with you. After seeing you in practice, I was a little surprised from the P5 and quali. How did quali go for you?
And I just haven't been able to piece together qualifying laps here lately, so that's something I need to work on. But at the same token, too, I mean, you go In all 3 PRL series, you go over to the Lionheart IndyCar series here on Wednesday nights, and Jake just kills it with qualifying. So, yeah, I gotta learn what his secret is, because he's doing too good at that.
Indeed, he definitely knows how to get the times in on quality. But I'll tell you what, guy backed it up today, because you weren't quite able to match the pace in the race, which also was a surprise. We've seen you at the sharp end with a couple of wins already. Third's not bad, but off the top step. What do you think, bud?
Oh, yeah, I really can't complain honestly about it, because again, I don't know what it is about Jake Wright at this racetrack. He dominated the truck race last night too. The guy knows how to get around here, so there was just no doing with that. And by the way, great to see Brian Mellendorf back. We've been missing him. So glad that he's back running with us, and a good job for him to get a second place tonight. I'm very happy with third. That's where I was running all night. That's where the car was. So again, I can't be at all disappointed with that. I mean, we finished where we needed to finish.
Yeah, and speaking, we'll go ahead and talk about that move towards the end. Unfortunately, brought out a caution. Just looked like one of those racing deals. Dove down to the inside, drifted up a little bit of contact with the 87. It's too bad you guys had, for the most part, a very green run. Just looked like a racing deal from here.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to look at it yet. I heard from him that the Drew came down, so I'll go and take a look at it. I went ahead and called it being my bad on that one. I hated for that, and because I think it took out a lot of good cars behind too. Just looked like good racing there on a low groove racetrack. It's one lane. You try to get down there as best you can. You try and pinch that person down so they can't get a run off. And contact was made, and I thought he was going to save it, but it just went around.
Well, overall, very good run for you. 6 races, 6 times in the top 5. Got to be feeling pretty good about the championship, except for 2 runs. Locked in the chase. Feeling pretty good right now, aren't you?
Oh yeah, I'm having probably the most fun with this series of the 3 so far, the racing, and it has just been absolutely spectacular. It's been a lot of fun. We don't have as big of a field as we do here on Tuesday nights for the big show, but the guys that show up out here, I mean, they're top notch. They're respectful. They're clean, and yeah, I'm having a lot of fun in this series too. So. Also got to thank DJ Beverly for coming on board with Coastal Safety Auditors to be our sponsor this year and bring these races in. Also got to thank Unacceptable Racing. Go like us on Facebook. There you go, Josh King. I said it. And then thank you guys too for putting on this broadcast. And definitely tune in tomorrow night. We have a couple new fun things with the broadcast that we're really looking forward to. And just excited to debut those here, kind of be the guinea pig for GSRC on that, and that's going to be exciting.
Well, thank you, James, and nice job on that P3, and good luck to the next run. I think we've got next up Brian Mellendorf with Sam.
Yeah, we were just talking about Brian, so let's talk to Brian. Our second Brian in the top 4 of this. There we are, finally got Brian mic'd up here. Brian, welcome. We haven't seen you out there racing before, and the first time we did, you brought home a second place finish.
Yeah, I got the itch to show up now. Rahula's been nagging at me for a couple months to race. Haven't run much since the winter stuff, so yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it seemed a bit of a quiet race out there for you, though. You were pretty much second all race long, except when you beat Jake Wright out of pit road, and then he soon got back by you. We did notice your connection was going in and out a few times, so did it look okay on your end?
I noticed it jumped once. I was just hoping that no one was near me, so I didn't cause any issues. Kind of something that's been nagging me for quite a long time. Just can't get that figured out.
Yeah, well, fortunately it was never bad enough to bring out any kind of incident. Did you think you may have had something for Drake Wright at the end there when you had the lead on that restart?
Oh, maybe. Jake was really fast. I think he was just cruising most of the time, just kind of keeping the gap steady. I had one pace I could run, one line. I tried finding something else. He was able to run like a half a car to a car higher, and I just couldn't carry the speed like that. And I had what I had. I was hoping to go green the whole race, come home with a nice, easy second place.
Do you think you'll be coming back for more races in the future?
Yeah, I'll hit a few more here and there. Just as I have the itch, kind of fun racing with these guys. Known a lot of them for quite a long time. Gotta thank Rahula and Ricky Harden for putting the league on, and everyone for sponsoring everything they do and letting us have a place to race. A lot of fun.
Well, we look forward to seeing you the next time you are back here, Brian, and hopefully you'll be able to finish one place better next time.
Yeah, you guys have a great time.
Alright, and that was our second place finisher, Brian Mellendorf, who sits 27th in the points after his first race. But maybe he'll come back and get a win, who knows? He could lock himself into a chase at the end of the season. We got one more driver to speak with, and Smithy is down with him in victory lane.
Yes, indeed. I am here with Jake Wright. Jake, hey man, you've been at the sharp end all season. We've been seeing you at the front with speed, but this time there was no touching you. You were definitely the guy to beat.
Yeah, tonight everything finally fell into place.
Yeah, nice job. Other than that one restart deal where you were coming off P2, you got beat coming off pit road. How did that happen? A little bit of mistake or long pit road? What happened?
I thought I hit my box perfect, but Brian just had an amazing stop and was able to beat me out.
Yeah, he was able to hold on for a couple of restarts there. Did you have any fear of it, or did you just be patient and hit him when you could?
I had a little fear at the end because I knew he was definitely fast, and I thought he was going to be able to stay in front of me, but I got lucky to get a run off of 2 on that restart and got the run into 3, so I took it and I was able to get around him.
Now this isn't the first one you had. You got that truck win last night. What is it about you in Milwaukee that just click and make things happen nicely?
I honestly think any track that you have to slow down and brake I can do well at, because I found at Phoenix I oftentimes can pass a lot of people, and I think it's just because I come from a high downforce background, so using those brakes to slow the car down, it's definitely something that helps me out.
Coming from a high downforce program, this is absolutely not that kind of car. Have you had any kind of issues adapting to it? Because it seems like you really got dialed in.
At the start of the season, I had to learn how these things worked, and in the Cup cars, since they replaced the aero package with the new lower downforce, I'm having a little bit of problems adjusting over, but I've been getting better at them.
Well, nice job, man. You got a W today. It's going to lock you into that chase. What are your thoughts on the rest of the season? Now that you don't have to worry about any chase kind of issues. Are you just going to try and work on the car? Are you going to try and get some more wins? I mean, what's your thought process for the rest of the season?
I'm thinking I just want to race, and I'll hopefully pick up a few more wins, hopefully some more poles, but I'm just here to have some fun, so I can't wait for the chase.
Nice job, Jake. Well done on that first win of the season. Anybody you want to thank before we let you go?
Definitely. I want to thank my teammates at No Name Racing and my sponsor, SurveySystem.com, and everybody over here at PRL. The drivers are great, and the admins are great. It's a lot of fun running over here.
Well, nice job, Jake. Nice job to you. Good job for the points now. Still P2 with a W under your books. Very well done. Good luck next time.
Thank you.
Well, that was our race winner there, Jake Wright. So, we have talked to the drivers who had the 4 best races, but I think also we enjoyed the show up here, Smithy. It was a good calling it from the booth. I think we both kind of wanted it to go green to the end there. Unfortunately, with lots of tight racing going on that course, it wasn't... You always knew there was a threat of a caution at the end.
Yeah, she's not the easiest joint to get around. We talked about it in the beginning. It's hard to get in and hold on to it, and it's real hard to come off and keep the tires from spinning. So there's always a chance of it, but these guys did a heck of a job of go green most of the time, and at the end we had some good tough racing. Unfortunately, didn't finish on the green, but it's a great show nonetheless.
Now this series will be back in action next week at Bristol. We won't be seeing them again until Richmond in 2 weeks' time, but you heard from James Krahula earlier in the broadcast that they are looking for top-notch, respectable and clean drivers. If you think those words describe you, then you might want to try and get in contact with James Krahula. This series, however, this sanctioning body, they have their Cup Series race going on at Texas Motor Speedway tomorrow at the same time, same place here on the Global Sim Racing channel, so we hope you'll tune in for that. We would like to thank the organisers and the competitors in the Premier Racing League Coastal Safety Auditors Grand National Series for coming here tonight and putting on a great show. Thanks to the makers of the various software and hardware that you see on your screen. Thanks to the team today, Michael Smith, Joe Peak, and our camera guru, Dougie Beard. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, you can find it at www.globalsimracingchannel.com, along with archived races and upcoming broadcasts. We're also on Twitter at GSR Channel and Facebook at facebook.com/globalsimracingchannel. A special thanks also goes out to Eric Ekholm and Casey Lalonde, who provide us with our music. You can buy Eric's on iTunes and Spotify, and Casey's at caseylalonde.bandcamp.com. All of our upcoming races for our other series are on screen, so be sure to check those out, mark them down on your calendar, and don't miss another second of exciting racing action. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.